If you go around the world asking people what is anime's most defining feature, there is a good chance they would tell you the eyes. You see, anime is well known for the use of very unique and interesting eye designs for the characters, and while most shows use these designs as just an artistic choice, some shows, some anime, excel at using the eyes for story purposes like Hunter x Hunter, or hell, even building a whole power system around the eyes like Naruto brilliantly did. And on this topic, on this island of relevancy for the eyes, stands Blue Lock. In fact, I'm willing to say that Blue Lock is the best show to utilize the eyes since Naruto. And that's definitely great, however, let's take it a step further. You see, Blue Lock doesn't just employ the eyes for story purposes or build a system around them. In fact, it's both, as well as presenting some interesting artistic choices. And what do I mean by that? Well, you see, we have state versus ability eyes. Some eyes, like the swirly and aura eyes, are there to signify the state of a player, and probably the most important example is the flow state eyes. With these, the writer tells us that the player is engulfed in his plays, and he is pulling off his best performance without breaking the momentum by utilizing any narration or something like that. And then if we move to the ability eyes, they tell us what the player is utilizing. One look at the predator eyes and you can tell that the player is actually hunting, he's fiending for that goal. And then one look at Isagi's jigsaw design for Metavision, and you can tell that this player is piecing out his plays like a jigsaw puzzle. And this is exactly what I mean. There are no coincidences with Blue Lock. Every artistic choice actually serves a purpose. And here I'm willing to ask you guys, how come a newly introduced character like Charles Cavalier presents a new eye design for his Metavision? Not only that, he actually is the second player after the main character to have a distinctive design, and I'm willing to bet that's no coincidence. But before we carry on, I'd like to give some shoutouts to two of my followers who actually suggested this idea, Silver Sauce Ran and Dustin Suggs, so thank you guys. Now think about it this way, not even Snuffy had a unique design. Instead, Snuffy just had the generic design for Metavision, and we all know he had the best vision in the series. In fact, he's the best in the world because of it, and of course his big brain. And so this actually further shows the importance of this question. Why would Charles Cavalier be any different than any other player? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Charles Cavalier has a unique design because he presents a new eye type that we have not seen before until now. Or did we? More on that later. You see, Charles presents an eye ability which I will call the passer vision. Just bear with me with the name, I just had no basis of naming these eyes, unlike the assassin's eyes that I dubbed after Caraso's playing style, which the community tend to use nowadays. But anyways, we know that the writer of Blue Lock has always had a tendency to hide things in plain sight, to hint at things before they're revealed, and to show them for critical moments before they get introduced and fully explained. Think about it in this regard. When Isagi first used Metavision, it was against Baru in the first selection. However, he never had the eye design. Instead, Isagi just had the sensation, which was him using Metavision subconsciously. Then, in the third selection, he did it again, but this time the writer shown us the design. However, it was never explained what this could mean, and it was left for the fans like us to theorize about it. And then, it finally got introduced in the Neo Egoist League. Actually, there is another example, which follows the same formula. First, when Ren used Predator eyes for the first time in the third selection, and we actually did not see the eye design with him, he just hunted the goalkeeper. Then in the Manshine City game, we actually took our first look at the Predator eyes with Kaiser's cat-like design. And then in the Ubers game it got explained, much like the whole Metavision thing. And so with Char's eyes, I think we are at step 2, where the writer shows us the design before finally revealing it in a later game. And so the question that presents itself, is this a variation of Metavision, or is it a Predator eye type of vision for the midfielder? Well, let's look at the design. It actually looks like a sliced up orange or a lemon, but also it looks like a target, which definitely fits with the whole Predator eyes for the midfielder. And so I think that Char's vision is a fusion between Metavision and this new eye type, kinda like how Kaiser utilizes both Metavision and Predator eyes. However, from the way Charles plays, it seems that he's always using both. He's always looking for the best passing option, at the same time having the Metavision bird's eye view. But hold on a second, before we explore what this could mean for Charles and how he utilizes them, let's take a step back for a second here and go back to the writer's formula of revealing important vision. First comes the use without the design, then comes the design, which I think we are here, and then comes the full-on explanation. And so the question that poses itself, if we are in the second phase, which is the design, have we seen these eyes in action before without us noticing? Actually, we did. And I think this fits perfectly with the player I'm going to introduce to you in a second. You see, in the U20 game he was insane. However, in the NEL, after Isiki acquired Metavision, he said that he is playing like this character with no intervals. Of course, I'm talking about Sai Itoshi. However, I think there is more to Sai than just Metavision. Sure, Isigi, Hiyori and Kaiser have a Metavision that is on his level. However, much like Kaiser has the Predator eyes, I think Sai has the same eye design as Charles. It just was not shown. Why? Because the writer was just hinting at it at that time. Had the writer shown these eyes, Metavision and the Predator eyes in that game, they would have lost their flair and their uniqueness, and these eyes would even mix together, losing their whole hype. However, as is the case with the other eye types, the writer chose to not do that. And you might be asking, what about the assassin's eyes? We kinda got introduced to the design immediately. Well, that's true, however, they are yet to be explained fully, and so it is still ambiguous. And besides, I don't think the assassin's eyes are at the same importance as these three: the Predator eyes, the Passer eyes, and of course Metavision. Now, since we are speculating that Sai had them too in the U20 game, we can actually deduct from what we have seen from him and Charles what these eyes can do. Now, the first thing that I noticed is that both Isigi and Hiyori are now playing with no intervals after unlocking Metavision, and that's obviously a given. However, I can't help the feeling that Sai was on another level. You see, he was able to pass long passes, short passes, in-crowd passes, between players passes, and even shoot, while Isigi seems to do this whole thing of building the attack together in a close proximity, and so it makes me wonder, could these eyes actually do exactly what they sound like and present the player with the ability to hunt, or rather snipe the best passing course, even if it is far away or even in the worst of situations? And we actually have a confirmation for this. People were killing each other in the PXG game, and then comes Charles and passes to the open space, ignoring everyone and going straight for the perfect pass. Something that we are actually seeing the opposite of from Hiyori, but more on that later. This whole thing of finding the best passing option even in the worst of situations actually leads us to the next ability of these eyes. Their ability to keep the player calm and pass the ball regardless of anything happening around you. And here we reach the Hiyori thing. Hiyori seems to be calm too, right? Well, that's true, but at the same time not. You see, Hiyori always passes for the best option, regardless of who's the striker he's passing to and who are the opponents defending the play. However, Charles and Sai seem to be different. You see, they take the strikers into account, and so staying calm and figuring out where is the best option for that striker seems a little bit harder than just passing the best option. And thus I think these eyes help with that. And funny enough, this leads us to the third ability, which is the passer being able to identify the strengths and weaknesses of his striker and actually push the striker forward and bring the best out of him. Kinda like how Sai did with Sendo, and of course how both Sai and Charles did with Shido. Both of them made him very easily enter the flow state. And this is actually where Hiyori falls apart completely. You see, Charles in an instant was able to identify that even though Rin is the best option, Shido is presenting a quieter but less crowded option, and so he directly aimed for that, taking Shido's abilities into account. I don't think any other player could have sniped that pass the way Shido did, with the exception of course being Nagi. That guy is a monster. And so this is what I meant when I say Hiyori falls apart completely. Even though Hiyori's passes are insane and are perfect for the situation, we clearly saw how Shido easily identified the same spot, and had it not been for Kunigami he would have won over Isigi, and that's definitely not good. And I think even Kaiser and Rin, if they had not been obsessed over Isigi, they would have definitely sniped that pass and cut it off. Now, doesn't this remind you of something? Remember when Rin used Metavision for the first time against Sai? It was in this corner, and even though the best option was Aiko, Sai completely ignored him for the simple fact that with Rin being there, it no longer is the best option, and the quieter, less optimal option of Shido becomes the best here. And that's precisely what I think this new eye type is all about. Sniping out the best option, staying calm, and actually understanding the strikers and the defenders. Now that's one way of looking at it. There is always the other way around, which is on defense. In chapter 264, we saw how Charles out of nowhere intercepted the best passing option. And here I'm most definitely sure that Charles doesn't have the protagonist feeling, because as we came to learn in the Ubers game, you kinda need the protagonist feeling in order to counter Isagi and Hiyori. And so what did he do exactly? I think he was able to identify the best passing option for the opposition, and he was able to cut the pass with perfect precision. Now, I want to bring a scene from the Ubers game as well, when Aiko did not actually understand what Isagi and Hiyori were doing and was delayed 0.1 second, and that actually gave the time for Isagi to slip. You see, if Aiko had that type of vision, he would have probably identified the best passing option and cut it off completely. And this actually made me wonder, what if in the future we get introduced to a defensive midfielder who has the same eye type and who works a lot on defense? He would be a very tough opponent to get past to with just meta vision and perfect positioning, and would actually require a lot of effort to beat. But anyways, that's a discussion for another day and another video. For now, think about it this way. If the Predator eyes are the complete package for the striker, the passer eyes are actually the complete package for the midfielder. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we reach the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, thank you for watching.